Hello, and welcome back to the podcast where you are invited for lighthearted conversations about things that matter as you seek to live your most meaningful, beautiful, and joyful life. I'm your host, Dr. Edie Wadsworth, and I hope you enjoy your stay here at the House of Joy.
Hello, and welcome back to House of Joy this week. We are here.
Hello, Emily May.
I need to address a couple elephants in the room. First being that I look so crazy, but I'm blaming it on Mom because she made us do the CrossFit Open, 24.1 workout.
Yeah.
And
how you feeling?
I am not well, but I was like refusing to put on jeans. I was not putting on jeans, and so Mom looks adorable, and
I got my jeans on.
It's a reoccurring theme, but just let's ignore it, and everything will be okay. Another thing is that Bandit is just kind of like minding his own business.
Yeah, Bands. We're trying to do work here.
Yeah,
he is lounged up on top of our love pillow. You can't even see the word love if you're watching on YouTube because Bands is right here in the middle.
But all of that aside, today's episode is really exciting because I have been, and my friends have been requesting. It's always the ones that we genuinely have requested that are so good.
Yes.
So today Mom is going to share all of her essential oil, what would you say? Knowledge, like the baseline.
Enthusiasm.
If you're first getting into oils, this is a great podcast to watch. My friends always are asking me, like, can your mom come teach us a class? And this will kind of be a good starting, kind of like an essential oils class today.
Yep.
So I'm going to be asking some questions. She's going to be sharing just her good old knowledge from years of, learning and educating herself.
And when I started my own natural health journey, it was from my own health crashing, and I'm a physician, so I knew that I could either go that route, which is the way I started, like, let me go find out what's wrong, which is great. I just didn't want to, be taking a pile of prescriptions if I didn't have to, so I was seeking other answers. But the funny thing is, you and Ellie...
I was just about to say, it's hilarious, and we talk about this even, like, with my faith, too. Like, as a kid, I was exposed to... We would go to your essential oils classes every single week, 2 a week. I would just sit in there like, oh, my gosh, what is Mom jabbing on about to these ladies again? And I didn't retain any of it. And we're sitting in this house full of essential oils, and I'm just now like, oh my gosh, these oils, they're amazing. Like, why have I never thought to use these? And here she is with her like treasure trove of knowledge that she's been, I've been exposed to it my whole life. And me and Ellie would like sit in the car while she taught her oils classes in Knoxville.
Yep.
It's just hilarious now. Like, I asked her to do this episode. I was like, can you teach
me about oils?
I should know this stuff. Like, the amount of oils classes, I should know. And I feel like I kind of know, like, just background things from hearing you talk about it, but I don't know how to actually explain things. So my friends will ask me, and I'm like, well, I know it's good for this, but I couldn't tell you why, or, the part of that really matters is, like, why you should use it. And that's why you're here.
Yeah, that's why we're here. And kind of how we're going to do this, I'm going to share a little bit of my story of how I got into it. I'm going to explain a little bit of the stuff that I learned early on, how they work, why they work so well for certain things. And then Emmy is going to ask me some questions that will lead into things that people ask me about all the time. What's your favorite oils? What's your favorite routine? What supplements do you use? Because I use a lot of oil-infused supplements. So I think we're going to answer lots of questions. We put a question box on Instagram, so we got lots of good questions there. And,
I was about to open
my mic.
stopping point, but we need to fix your mic because it kept falling.
Okay, there, Katie. I think that got it. I just tightened it a lot.
Okay, perfect. Do you feel like
I think it's good. No.
Okay, great.
So it'll so we'll start out with my story and then do some questions that we got from you guys. And then we'll put lots of resources for you in the show notes, because if you do want to get started, I have a really active Facebook group where, you know, I've taught literally hundreds of specific topical classes in there. And so if you are wanting to get started, we are happy to help you do that.
Yeah, I think like with all of the oils, it's the most overwhelming part is like where to start. And I think this episode will be a really good place for people to like have a overview of everything like a little bit and why you love it so much, and then can dive into how they want to go about it if they want to. So I think this will be a really good way for people to not be overwhelmed.
And anytime you need clarification, just stop me, but I'll share a little bit about my story. So what happened for me is that I had my own health crash. This was in 2013, and I was having a multitude of symptoms. I had had a bunch of weight gain. I felt so much inflammation in my body. I was struggling with depression, anxiety, insomnia, just everything. And this was about 2 years, 2.5 years, I think, after our fire. And I think it was just all of that, trying to deal with that huge of a loss and getting into bad habits. And it was a lot of lifestyle issues. I didn't know this at the time. So when I went in to get checked, he told me, like, okay, basically everything is wrong with you. He gave me a list of all kinds of things and a pile of prescriptions. And I just wanted to see if I could find a better way to help my body heal. I had always, even when I practiced medicine, I had always had a natural health bent. I was always, people would come in to see me and I'd be like, what of these medicines can we wean down? Can we take you off of? You know,
that's what I was going to ask. Did you ever have something that made you think of wanting to take a natural path, or it just
I think it just, I don't know. I just think that I always had this view, like God created our bodies in a beautiful, wonderful way to heal if we give them what we need. And I was always, when I was practicing medicine, I was always trying to help people with lifestyle change, like help them stop smoking, help them lose weight, help them deal with stress better. And so then when it came to me being the patient, I'm like, oh, are there things that I'm doing that could contribute to this? And how can I help myself? So I already had a little bit of that bent. But I will say I didn't know anything about essential oils or anything like that. So that whole journey was brand new for me. I also, interestingly, used to teach my patients. My patients would say, should I be taking supplements? And I'd be like, no, that just gives you expensive urine. Like, you're going to pee that out. You're not going to, your body, most supplements aren't made for you to absorb. And then tables turned when I realized that if you infuse supplements with essential oils, they're absorbed way better. Now I'm a supplement junkie. I take them all the time. I take them almost medicinally.
Yeah.
And so I think one of the most important things, especially if you're listening and you're skeptical, so was I. Because I thought to myself, when I first learned about this whole world of natural health and essential oils, I'm thinking to myself, I just spent 13 years in medical training. If there was something this good, I would have heard about it.
Yeah.
Like, I just was skeptical of people who'd be like, this is, you know, the end all be all.
Well, also, like, things, especially now, I don't know about back then, but things come and go so fast, like fads and health fads and fitness fads. Like, it's hard to know, especially with supplements. I feel like people are like, you have to start taking this. This is going to change your life. And it is, you are skeptical because it's a lot of money to like invest into your health, especially if you're not sure if something is going to actually work. So that makes sense. And a lot of people really are super skeptical about essential oils because they are a little spendy. Like,
they are, if you get really good ones, and I'll tell you in a little while why you need to get really good ones if you're going to bother with it at all. And so I was just naturally skeptical. And the person who introduced me to it, it's so funny because now that I look back, I'm like, she's so cool to like convince a doctor to buy essential oils.
She really went there.
I know. I'm glad she didn't go, well, I mean, she's a doctor, so she's probably not going to do it. No, she just kept saying, I don't know, like, you should really try this. It's really helped me. And just the way she shared was just so natural. And so I did start doing it, and literally within a month I started feeling like quicker than that. But within a month, it was substantial enough that I'm like, oh, there's something to this.
Well, what was specifically like your energy feeling better, or
all
like
of it? Energy, inflammation was down. I was sleeping better. I just was feeling myself again. You know how you get into a really, I mean, my middle-aged women will know this. You get into a rut where you just don't feel well, and it feels like it's been a while since you felt like yourself. And I just started to feel like myself again and have my energy back and sleep better and just emotionally felt a lot better. And that caused me to take a deep dive into the science behind it, because having gotten a medical degree, I'm like, how can this be? Like, how can something that you're rubbing on your skin or you're putting in a diffuser or you're, you know, I don't know. It just amazed me. And so I just dove into the research. I read hundreds of journal articles. I ordered a book called The Chemistry of Essential Oils. I read it pretty much cover to cover. I ordered a book called Healing Oils of the Bible, which is fascinating. I just took a deep dive like I'm known to do.
Do you remember like what? Did you just order a starter kit, or did you order specific oils?
Yeah, so I just ordered a starter kit from Young Living, and I got 2 bottles of Ningxia Red, I think, and some Progessence Plus. That was because I was dealing with kind of some hormone issues, and that's one of our hormone oils. So first bought the starter kit, and then I think pretty quick after that got Ningxia, and then a little bit after that got the Progessence Plus. So I started, I mean, if you could see my house right now, it's literally full of oils and supplements. But back then, for a long time, all I had was that.
Yeah, and you were kind of just using them how you probably didn't know, really.
Yeah, I mean, like everybody, you start, you don't really know what you're doing. And
Yeah.
I was, just trying to figure it out. But what I found when I really started studying the science behind them was amazing to me. And I'm so thankful that I was just open and teachable enough to go, oh.
And curious.
And you guys, it was such a fascinating transformation for me, because it's almost like once you learn something, you can't unsee it. And you're like, how did I not always know that or see that? But it was interesting to me because as a physician, I believed that people could take a pill and feel better, and it would work in different ways. But for some reason, oh, you're going to rub something on your skin and that's going to help you? Or, okay. Yeah. And I don't know. I think the transformation of realizing that, first of all, these are God-given gifts, things that God made, living things that he imbued with his intelligence and, things that he created. And when I started studying, like, oh, he created all these plants.
Like, they are supposed to work with our bodies.
Yeah, and he created them before he even created us. And if you look at ancient cultures, this is what people always used medicinally.
We didn't always have
We
a
didn't
pill.
have CVS and Walgreens. So this is what people used. And I started thinking about, like, oh, my gosh, when you drive down my street in my town, there's doctor's office, pharmacy, all these ancillary medical services. And it just started to dawn on me, like, why are we so sick? Why is this feel like, it's the whole focus? Like, why do we need so much help? Why are we all taking so many anti-inflammatories? Why? So I just started to question all of it, and thinking back to, like, even 100 or 200 years ago, how people would live, and people didn't have nearly as much chronic illness and cancer and all of that. And thinking back to how they lived, which was way, they ate food that was grown closer to their home. They weren't in this constant stress cycle that we're always in. They used natural things because that's all they had, for medicinal purposes. And it just made me go, oh, we could probably learn a thing or two from cultures like that. And so I was having this kind of awakening, like, okay, God is not going to put us here without what we need.
Right.
Right? Like, he's going to give us what we need.
This makes sense.
And I started to look at, like, even pharmaceutical drugs, a lot of them are made from plants. So, maybe the plant itself has power, has this medicinal quality to it. And then I started studying the science behind the oils and why they work so well. And, they have a really tiny molecular size, so they can easily absorb in the skin. They can easily get into your cells. They can easily get into your DNA. Like, just their small size is really part of their magic. And the other thing that's really cool is they have a living vibration. So it's like if you were measuring the energy or vibration of something on something like an EKG machine, and you're measuring electrical energy or magnetic energy or whatever, when you do that for the oils and you measure them, they have a really high energy level.
Wow.
And if you were to measure, like, you can measure that in people too. You can say, okay, what's your vibrational energy right now? You can measure it in different organs. And when they measured this, and they measured it like with people who are really sick, if you had the flu, your level would be really low. Here's the interesting thing too, because I'm really into mindset. If you're thinking really negative thoughts, your vibrational energy will be a lot lower. If you're praying or speaking positively, your vibrational energy will be higher. And one crazy, amazing way to help elevate that is to use essential oils, because they have a really high vibrational energy level. It's kind of like eating real food. That food carries with it nutrients and also this vibrational energy. So one of the ways that you could think about how oils work in the body is like if you're going to a hotel where you take a key card and you put it up to the room door, and that sort of vibrational energy, or that it kind of unlocks the door. That's a little bit of an analogy of how oils work in your cells. So they vibrate against your cell. That vibration will unlock a receptor, open up the cell door, allow toxins to come out, allow oxygen to come in. And the other thing that's really powerful about how oils work is they're adaptogens, so they can open receptors. So even though this molecule of this oil is not a hormone, it's not a neurotransmitter, but it can unlock those receptor sites because of this vibrational energy. So it can act like a hormone or a neurotransmitter or an immune, molecule. And so they're adaptogens, meaning they basically can do for you what your body needs. And it's different than if you think of like how pharmaceuticals work. Like if you make one drug, the way that drug is going to work is it's going to go to that particular receptor on your cell, unlock that receptor, allow some reaction to take place. With oils, it's not that specific. So it's not like one oil for one thing. That's why essential oils have such a variety of uses and, powerful benefits. So as I just started learning the amazing science of it, I also started noticing, this is crazy, you guys. I started noticing that, of course, I became like an evangelist. I'm like, why have we not heard about this? Everybody needs to be using this. You want to go to
everyone, being like,
I did. I went to everybody I know. I'm like, this is crazy. Have you tried this? And all of my close friends ended up doing it. And I'm like, okay, here's what I've noticed. Everybody's nicer.
Yes.
Everybody feels a little better. They're a little more like, I just noticed that. And so then I'm like, okay, now literally everybody that I know needs to use them.
I think that's the only way that you can really get people. It's not like you can like convince people of this fake thing working. Like I think it worked because people themselves would use them and be like, oh, these actually do work. And that's how everyone in your life began to like get on the bandwagon, because they literally actually worked.
Yeah, and at that point I wasn't practicing medicine, so and people would ask me like, oh, all those years that I was blogging, people would say, you never talk about health. And I'm like, yeah, interesting. I don't ever talk about health as a physician. I'm a doctor. And I think it was because so much of modern medicine is sick care. It's not all that fun to talk about. So then when I found this, and it felt so hopeful.
You're like, I can talk about this.
And I was so curious about it. I'm like, I can't stop talking about it. And, I'm 9 years into this now. I've been using these for 9 years. And it has not lost one bit of its intrigue for me. I love it so much. I still love learning about it. I mean, my house is full of it. I use it all the time. It's not that we never use pharmaceuticals. Sometimes we do need to use pharmaceuticals, but this is such a great thing to have in your toolbox. I mean, and you guys can attest to this, like almost always in our house, the first line is going to be, well, let's try this supplement, or let's try this oil, or let's try this whatever, because they're so much safer and their benefits are so powerful in so many ways.
They can target so many different
Yes.
things.
So if you look at like one drop of an oil has 300 or 400 different little tiny molecules. So think of that,
Wow.
like how powerful that is and how God designed those plants and the juice of that plant to be so dang powerful. Like, I just think the science of it is so cool. It's also, by the way, one of the things that can block the stress response. It can be very beneficial for people who are constantly stressed out, just like a natural sort of anti-stress molecule. The more you have them in your life, and we'll talk about, in a little bit, like how to get started using them. But I just think the science behind them is fascinating. Now, I will say this. You have to think of it like fruits and vegetables. So when you start using them, like if you were going to start on like a health kick, you wouldn't eat one apple one day and go, it didn't work.
Yes.
I didn't notice anything from that one apple that I had last Thursday. And it's kind of the same thing with oils. It needs to become part of your lifestyle. And this is part of the magic of getting outside. Like if you think of, why does everybody say you need to get outside? You need to get sunshine. You need to get fresh air. Why? Because all the plants are out there. All the essential oils are out there. And they're free out there. So when you go out by our little spruce tree and you're breathing in, you can smell that spruce. That's the oil. What you smell from that plant is the oil coming off that plant. You're getting those benefits of those free essential oils. So part of the magic of being outside is you got all of these plants. They're free. This is God's gift to us.
I think that is one misconception, because I think some people's view of essential oils is just this like voodoo, like they're saying they're magic. But like when you really think about it in terms of literal plants and what they really are, and when you learn how they're made at some, at their highest level, when they're made right.
Yeah.
It really is what God has given us to use.
Yeah, and it's like, so here's the difference. Going back to the apple example, that apple, like you can't make an apple. You have to plant an apple tree, right?
Yes.
And so, but you can make apple flavored whatever, gummy bears or, apple flavored things.
You might say apple, but there ain't no apple in it.
There ain't no apple in there. And all the magic that God puts in that natural thing, you only get from the thing. You got to plant the plant.
Yes.
And so when you're using essential oils, you've got to make sure you're getting them from a company that's not using lavender flavoring.
The essential oil that you got from TJ Maxx is probably not going to have
this
the same
medicinal benefit.
Yes.
Right. And so you've got to be really careful about where you get them from if you're wanting this kind of benefit that I'm talking about. Yeah.
You can always buy the ones if you just want it to smell your house. But
I wouldn't even recommend that.
I don't know if you should.
But certainly don't buy those and expect any like profound medicinal benefits. And the other thing is, like you would eat fruits and vegetables, you would want to get organic. Like you want to be particular. Where was this grown? Did they use pesticides? Ask all the same questions about your oils, because what you're putting on your skin or what you're breathing in your lungs is really important.
Yeah.
And part of the reason that we're so sick and laden with toxins is because of what we're putting on our skin and what we're breathing. So you want to be careful about that. And then the other thing that I would say is the same way that you wouldn't eat an apple last Thursday and expect profound benefits, it has to become a habit. Consistency. So, we have been consistently in my house using oils for 9 years. We fill up our diffusers all the time. I use them on my skin. We use them in our supplements. I use them, products that are infused with them, like laundry soap and all that. So, as you make it more a part of your life, you will help your body detox and help your body.
It's really funny because anyone who comes to this house, and I think I was so thankfully used to it when I grew up here, but everyone who comes here is like, the energy in this house and just it's so light and it's so bright, which obviously has stuff to do with like the way that you choose to fill your space. But I think a big part of it is that this house is constantly full of essential oils.
Yep.
Like the energy is literally higher.
It's pretty awesome.
And I've never thought about it like that. And I think explaining it in this way, it's not just like trying to pull you in. It's like, this is real God-given magic.
Yeah. and I do. I am so grateful for it and love it so much. I also think we can overcomplicate it. And I just didn't know enough back then to overcomplicate it. So I just, I got a little starter kit. I started filling up diffusers. I started drinking our oil infused drink and, started.
I think the beautiful thing about them is like you, yes, can learn so much more and how to like really get that benefit from them. But it's really, there's no way to like use them in a wrong way. Like having a starter kit and using the oils, however you use them, is going to have some benefit on you, whether you're using it like in the way that is, the correct way, if that makes sense. Like they're always going to be good for you. Yeah. But it does help to know like which oils target what things and how to start and,
Yeah, and we'll talk about that in a minute. But it's easier than you think. I think we do make it complicated. And I wanted to touch on just one last thing about how they work is they are so small that they cross the blood-brain barrier. And so that's how they are so powerful for emotions and
so what is that
anti-stress. So they,
what does that mean?
As soon as they cross the blood-brain barrier, they go to your amygdala, which is your seat of emotions. So this is why you have powerful memories associated with smell. So when you smell chocolate chip cookies and you think, oh my gosh, that reminds me of home, or oh my gosh, that reminds me of...
Or you get in your friend's car and you're like,
oh, this always smells like you, right? So that place in your brain where you form memories is the same place where your sense of smell is.
That is so cool.
Yeah. And it's also the seat of your emotions. So emotions, memories. And so that's a powerful place to activate in your brain. And, it takes a while, I think, too, for people to appreciate that. But I just always notice, like, just in general, you start using them regularly and you just start feeling better because it has a powerful effect on the emotional spot in your brain where you form memories and all of that. So I think that's really powerful. And you're getting all of those benefits without the toxic benefits of fragrance. Fragrance in general, if it's not coming from natural oils, tends to be very toxic. If something is labeled on a bottle and it says fragrance, that can contain up to 150 chemicals. You have no idea. Those are not small little molecules that were God made, and it doesn't have the same benefits of the oils. So you're getting the benefit of, again, like your house smelling amazing, like literally this house smells like heaven. And you get the benefit of that without, like, I used to be obsessed with all these candles and
it's really hard to stop
fragrance.
When you, like, in our house right now, we are trying to switch, to more natural things that we know what the ingredients are and we feel comfortable putting it on our skin. But it's so hard when you're used to something having that, like, literal, what is the word I'm looking for? But that smell, because it's literally toxins. Like, it smells like that because it's literally fake. It's hard to get used to a more natural scent. But once you
do, then you're like, oh my gosh, I feel like you'll get a headache just walking past, what's the one in the mall? The fragrance store?
Bath and Body Works.
You'll get an instant headache.
You say too, like, you start to smell the chemicals and things.
I can smell them on somebody's clothes. I can smell somebody's clothes and go, it just smells like fake fragrance to me. But that takes a while to retrain your nose to it. So just be patient with yourself and you just switch things out, as you can and as you become aware of it, and you don't try to, do it all at one time. It certainly took me months to years to switch out.
Yeah, it's
most
really
things.
hard.
And, and I'm not a purist. I still use things. I just started taking I'm 54 years old, my first pharmaceutical a few months ago because I had some adrenal issues, and then that was messing with my thyroid. So I've been on a little bit of T3, like a very, very low dose. But, I'm not a purist. I'm not saying that we don't need pharmaceuticals. I'm not saying you got to clean everything out of your house and,
you can have a couple candles.
Use only that. But I'm just saying that the effort you do make will go a long way to benefiting your health and just helping you feel better. And I just think too, like, to me, it just made so much sense. Like, literally God filled the earth with these molecules. If you think about, if you went outside of our house right now, the plants that are the things that are blooming, the trees that are sprouting out, the evergreen trees that are giving off their oils, like our outside world is literally filled with these molecules. And I think that's so amazing. So why is that surprising to me that a loving God would create
not give
things
us
that are so
what we need
good
in
for
his
us?
earth?
Yes. So, it's been kind of just a huge blessing in my life. And it took a while after I started using them for it to catch on for everybody else. It took Dad. The thing that he started loving at first was Ningxia Red. So Ningxia Red, we've talked about on the podcast once before, I think. But Ningxia Red is a super juice drink that is infused with oils, but also just is a very powerful antioxidant and is so good to support any inflammation you might have in your body, good for energy, good for sleep, good for actually blood sugar balance. Like there's been so many good studies with Ningxia Red. So Dad started drinking Ningxia Red, and now we've literally not been a day without this drink. I don't think in 8.5, 9 years. We were just on vacation in Tahoe. What did we bring with us?
We brought a box.
In our suitcase.
And it was gone by the time we left.
So Dad and I drink, 4 to 6 ounces of this a day. Like, it is powerful. I've never, like, if I just have never used one thing that I felt like was that powerful. So that won him over quick. He's never missed a day of Ningxia Red either. And then, he was open to more of the things because he's like, oh, that really works. Yeah. And it's funny. Every time Dad, he will say all the time, he does this all the time. He'll use something, it'll work, and he'll go, man, people need to know about this. I'm like, I know.
I want to go back a little bit to, because obviously the products that we are talking about are Young Living.
Yeah.
And just like why you trust their brand and like the backstory on some of, because I know it's really interesting, like their farms and just the way that they produce their oils. So why do you trust?
Yeah, we have
Young
a process that they actually call it seed to seal. So we are really picky about the seeds that we use. We're really picky about how it's planted, where it's planted, how it's harvested, how it's distilled. We don't use solvents to distill it. A lot of times people will use like harsh chemicals to distill an oil, and then there's parts of that harsh solvent in the actual oil. So Young Living, from the time they plant the seed in the ground till they seal up the bottle, they guarantee that it's as pure as it can be, that it still retains. They do a lot of testing on it to see, like, does it still retain the quality that's there, that God put there, the quality of the plant itself. And of course, for me, I have been to multiple of their farms. I fell in love with just the owners of the company. I have met both the owners. I spent probably 45 minutes last year after I spoke at the Young Living Convention, just talking to Mary Young. And I don't know, you just meet people that like
genuine soul. And I've even been to one of the farms, and it's hard to not go there and just full-heartedly like be so thankful that there are products that are so well made and thought out, and like it's beautiful out there. It smells so good at those farms. You literally can watch them go through every process,
every part of the process,
and it's hard not to like really know.
I remember the first time I was in the distillery at the lavender farm in Utah, and they're piling in 200 pounds of all this lavender, and you go down beneath where you see it being distilled, and all of that lavender is turning into like a little container of oil. Like they go to all of that trouble to grow that, to put all those plants in there, and then what they get from that is like this small container of oil.
It gives you such a appreciation.
I'm so appreciative.
For your bottle. You're like, this was probably like 50 pounds of lavender in this bottle,
or however much.
Well, I don't know actually, but
but it's fascinating to watch somebody who, just a company that cares so much about what they're making,
and it's never changed. Like, how long has Young
I think
Living?
this is their 30th year. So, you know, for a company like that, and of course it is a network marketing company, for a company like that to have the retention that we have, when somebody starts using our products, we have a 40% retention, which is 40 to 50% of the people that start using our products never stop.
Never stop.
That's insane. The industry number is more like 5%, you know, for most companies. Like you say, things are such a fad.
Yeah.
Well, you meet people at this convention and you'll go, how long have you been with Young Living? 24 years, 23 years, 15 years, 12 years, for me, 9 years. I can't foresee ever.
There will not be your life without essential oils. And it doesn't, I think that's the beautiful part about it is like, yes, it is network marketing, but like you would use whether that all went away, like, right. We will have Young Living in our house for the rest. And I think for the rest of my life, like the more I learn and the more I start to care about those things and toxins and treating my body well and having these in my house, like, and I've seen it, so you trust it. And when you can watch it with your own eyes. And a whole other thing, I love talking about the medicinal part of it because it's been such a huge part of my own story. But then I look at like how it has impacted how I take care of my house, the way I clean, the way I do laundry. Like we have all of these amazing natural products. I think when some people think about, oh, I'm going to go green and I'm going to, make all these changes, it feels overwhelming. It doesn't feel overwhelming to me because when I'm ready to try a new product, we have one that I can try in that area of life. And so it's been just a huge, huge blessing. It's also, for anybody out there who wants a business opportunity, like it's insane, the business opportunity, because the products work. And when the products back themselves, you don't have to, you don't have to really sell people once they use them. Once they try it, they're like, oh, this is amazing. And so, so it's been just a huge blessing to our family in multiple, multiple ways. I'm so grateful that there are still companies like this out there that care so much, that go the extra mile, that don't try to be trendy, that just like put out amazing products and care about how they do it. Yeah. And so, it's been huge. Another thing I wanted to ask you about, because this is, I guess, more prevalent in my age people, but a lot of my friends, they really want to make that switch, and they've used some of the oils and they're like, oh my gosh, I do love this. I can see how this works. Yeah. But obviously, like, we're in a time in our lives where we're not making like as much money, where it feels, there are some that are, it's well priced once you know what it does, what all goes through it, and how they make it. But it is still a spendy thing, more expensive than getting them at Walmart or TJ Maxx. And then once you the other products. So how would you kind of make it make sense for someone in my position where, not all, you can't spend that much money? What would you say to... I think you have to figure out, usually what I tell people is, what part of your health or life do you want to work on? So somebody over 40 might say, oh, I want to work on my hormones. Or, oh, I'm having some gut health issues. I want to work on that. Or, oh, I want to work on my inflammation. So I just usually ask people, like, what's the main thing you want to work on? Mm-hmm. And then that is where you focus. You don't try to do it all. You don't try to get all the supplements or all the products. If you went to our website, there's like over 600 products on our site. You're not going to want. So, you've got to figure out, like for you guys, like, oh, I want to start working on replacing my household products or my cleaning products. Or for you guys, maybe it's just, I just want to start replacing the toxic candles and room sprays. Yeah. And that's a big thing, is like just diffusing and making our house smell good. Yeah. And I think a lot of people our age, like, it's a less medical use. Right. Because you don't have the issues yet. Yeah. Yeah. But I think we're all interested in those things. And, but I would agree with you. I think, the more you focus on one thing. Yeah. And my friends now, like, they do kind of budget according to what they want to buy in a month. And there's a lot of excuses you can use when, they are a little more expensive than maybe buying a candle or whatever you're using them for. But there's a lot of things that you can kind of give and take if you really do want to start. And my friends have like kind of proved that to me, because I feel bad sometimes like raving about them, because I know that like people my age are going to see the price
and go,
why did you like, but then I'll recommend
Why'd you get me
$100
hooked
pair
on
of
this
jeans.
thing?
Yeah, so it's like you really can give or take at my age, and I think the smell and the diffusers and buying a starter kit that has these oils in it, you know, it's $100 something, but it lasts a while, and they really like you,
and they really work.
They really work. So
yeah,
I like that.
I think for your age, definitely. I mean, I think for any age, we have what's called like a premium starter bundle. I think that's the best way to get started. Some of my favorite oils are in that bundle. Valor is one, you know, that I use all the time, every day. It's in there. Peace and Calming's in there. Thieves, we'll talk about that. Thieves is our immune boosting oil, and we have lots of products infused with Thieves oil. That one I use all the time. Stress Away is in there. The citrus oils are also good for diffusing, and they're all, you know, there a lot of the
you
citrus
can also
oils
put it in
are
your water. You can.
Yeah.
There's so many and I think that's where my friends are like, I want to learn more, because I have this starter kit, and I know that I can put them in my diffuser, but there are multiple ways with just those oils to get so many uses out of them.
Yes.
So
yeah. So I think that's a great way to start. The other thing that I would always tell people is, look, share it with your friends. If you're really loving it, share it with your friends, and then that ends up paying, you know, for your order. The other thing is just what you're saying, is that you are already spending that money.
Yeah, you are.
Somewhere. So are you at a time in your life where you want to like really learn about this and, you know, make it a priority? I mean, gosh, I wish I had learned about it when I was 20. I didn't learn about it till I was 43, and it's been the most fun journey, because again, I used to do this when I would be teaching oils classes. I did this one time. I brought in, I don't know if you remember this, Em, but I brought in some bottles of prescriptions and set them on one table where people were sitting. And I brought in the same number of like oils, and I put the oils on the table. And it was funny because just people sitting there, you don't have to tell them anything. They just start grabbing the oil. They smell it. They put it on their wrist. They start chatting about it like, oh, this is interesting. Oh, I love how this smells. Oh, has an interesting smell. I wonder what it's used for. And like the pile of prescriptions just lays there. Like nobody's very curious about that. And I just think that to me is fascinating.
Yeah,
like they just bring out this kind of curiosity, and get people chatting about it, that way they affect your emotions and kind of open up your, emotions and all of that. I just think all of that is fascinating. And, you can spend your time learning about anything, but man, learn about something that could benefit your health, could benefit your family, could benefit your home. Like, it's been a fun journey.
It is fun, and you continually learn stuff. Yeah. Like, there's never a place where you're stagnant of learning. You can always learn more about it, and there's always something to talk about. I feel like it is such a conversation starter, which is really fun, especially in our house, because it's like not as prevalent. Having a drawer full of oils is not like the normal thing. But it really does, like, I don't know, in our house it's just become part of their routine too. Like, Sydney wakes up, she fills all the diffusers in the morning. It's like part of her favorite part of the day is like doing that. And it is just so interesting. Like, watching my friends have such a curiosity about it has made me almost be like, oh
maybe you're right. This is kind of neat.
Because I was just exposed to it. Like, my friends will ask me, how are you not like raving about this all the time? I'm like, I don't know. Like, I thought it was so weird. Like, we just did this my whole life. I don't know. Like, but it is interesting now. I'm like, oh, this stuff is good.
This stuff is cool. I love it. So that's basically, my story, and I continue to be amazed by it. My house is full of it. It's one of my favorite parts of homemaking, actually. I love making my house cozy, making it smell good. I'm the same way as Sydney. I get up every morning and start my diffusers. It's just been so fun.
Yeah.
So, you want to do some questions?
Yes, we'll do some questions. I'm sure I said they would be rapid fire, but
one of the things that you asked me earlier, so I wanted to address this, and I talked about it briefly like for dad and guys in general, if you have started down this journey and your guys are less into it, have them try Ningxia Red. The guys love Ningxia Red. They love how they feel on it. The second thing that dad discovered is lavender is so good for burns. So we keep lavender.
That is one of the times where I was like, I'm a little freaked out at how well that worked. Like, I had burnt myself from my curling iron, and it was like a really pretty bad burn. It was on my chest, and it went from like 2 inches.
Yeah.
And I immediately put lavender on it, and the next day, like, it was a little red.
Yeah, no
like,
blister.
No blister.
Yeah.
That was the first time I was like, because I just, as a kid, like, you're like, I don't want this nasty smell.
Right.
I don't know, you're so dramatic and then don't want it to be fixed. And as an adult, you're like, I don't want this on me. Like, give
me all the lavender.
And it literally worked.
Yeah. So he loves that. Because he grills all the time. So he's all the time, like, needing it.
Peppermint for headaches. I feel like that one
so good. And those are all the ones we've mentioned so far still in the starter bundle. And then frankincense, also in the starter bundle. Dad started using frankincense because we live on the lake, and he was getting all of these actinic keratosis. You can just look that up. He was getting all of these on his arm.
From the sun?
Yeah, from the sun. And, you know, you would normally have to go to a dermatologist, get those, like, zapped off. And he started taking frankincense internally. I had told him, I'm like, you should try this because I've heard this works really well. So he started taking frankincense internally in a capsule. So we sell these, you know, clear vegetable capsules. So he would just fill up a capsule, I don't know, 10, 15 drops, take it for several weeks straight internally, and those little things would just start to
going
peel
away, like
off.
disappear.
He cannot tell enough people about it. Like, and so many times it's funny because dad, you know, he's a podiatrist, he practices medicine, and he's all the time recommending oils to his people.
That is just hilarious. Like, if you knew my dad, like, that is so funny.
Yes, it is.
That was one of my questions. What was Dad's favorite oil?
Oh, there you go. Frankincense.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm just going to ask you some questions about the oils. If you had to pick one oil, every other oil went away, and you could only buy one, what would it be?
100% Valor. Valor has frankincense, Idaho blue spruce in it. Both oils that I love that have really high frequencies. And it's just, I don't know, it's a good perfume. I use it every day on my wrist. It's great in the diffuser. It's such a good emotional supporting oil. And yeah.
And where do you, like, put it?
I mean, I'll use it in my diffuser, but I just put it on my wrist like you would do perfume. So I put it on my wrist and I just rub it on my neck. And yeah.
Okay. This one's funny. If you had to guess the number of oils in this house, what would the number be?
What do you think? I mean, thousands?
I would literally say maybe, like, is 10,000 too much?
I think that's too many.
5,000?
I don't know. I'd probably guess like 2,000. I don't know.
3,000?
Katie says 3,000.
Katie's guess was 3.
I don't know. We have a lot.
There's a lot.
I told the girls today, I said,
it's like a museum in here.
You need to shop some oils before you leave. Our stash is getting full.
Okay, this is in the same vein.
Yeah.
But if you had to guess how many diffusers are in this house.
27.
You know that for a fact?
Well,
27.
That was the last time that I actually counted. And like sometimes, I mean, they last a long time, but sometimes you're like, oh, that one's not putting out as much anymore. But I still have a diffuser that I bought like, I want to say 5 or 6 years ago. The Young Living diffusers are really good.
They last a long time.
They last a long time.
Even in our house, we have like 5.
Yeah. Yeah. So see, it's
27
easy.
is really hard to beat. 27.
Yeah. Tom has 3 in his room. He loves his diffusers.
And they have like the little kids ones, like they're little owls
ones.
or like little cat. I don't really know.
And his little diffuser does white noise too. So yeah.
Okay. What is your excuse me? Your daily oil routine. So like morning to night.
Yeah. Well, first thing I do is fill up my diffusers. Right now, I'm addicted to pink champagne. Have you guys tried pink champagne?
That one
is
so
good.
It's like a blend.
It's a blend, and And I mean, I brought
Wait,
it.
let me smell it.
I sometimes use it for perfume too.
Yeah, that one
But
is so
I put it
good.
in all my diffusers lately. I love mixing it with grapefruit and Stress Away and a little bit of Valor. I'm stingy with Valor in my diffusers because Valor's expensive and I want it mostly on my skin. But
Oh my god.
it's so good. I mean,
It smells like something specific.
yeah, it's so good. So if you don't have pink champagne and all of the rest of those, that one I love. So I usually start there. And then I love putting peppermint. I dab peppermint on my nose before I work out or before I leave for the gym. I usually put a drop of Thieves in my mouth. Thieves is like such a powerful
That one's
immune.
magical.
Is that yours? Go to?
Yeah, that's my go-to, and that's everyone in our house. Anytime someone feels an itch in their throat,
Yep.
they complain about anything, everyone's like, drop Thieves down your throat.
Yep.
And once you get used to it, it's not bad.
It's spicy.
It's spicy, but
Yeah.
gosh, I'd do it.
It's also in the starter kit, by the way.
Or
and
Thieves on the big toe, right? Like if you're feeling sick,
you can use
it
it on the bottoms of your feet
absorbs
or
really
on your big toe. Yeah.
fast.
Yeah. Yeah, so you can use them on your feet because it's spicy. So if I were going to use it on a kid, for sure, I used to do this with Tom, is if he was coming down
Load
with
up the
something,
feet.
load up the bottom of the feet and then put socks on because it's a spicy oil. So if you get it near your eyes or mouth, it'll be, burn a little bit. It won't do any damage or last very long, but it would burn. Burns in the mouth a little bit to get used to
I
it.
think that's a question some people have asked me, like, are there any dangerous oils?
We'll talk about that in a second. Let me finish the day in the life because
sorry.
I want to get through.
Getting off track. Go ahead.
So then I usually several times a day use Valor on my wrists and then I'll put it on my neck, kind of perfume, emotional, love it. Same with pink champagne because I'll like refill my diffusers. So I love both of those right now. And it kind of does change, like you'll get on a kick of something new. And then in the evenings, I always take an Epsom salt bath and I use a lot of my hormone oils, breathing oils. So I'll do like myrtle oil almost every night. It's good for your thyroid and I have been trying to heal my thyroid. So I'll use it on my thyroid area. It's also really good for breathing in the chest. And then
Myrtle?
Myrtle. I love myrtle. You need to take some myrtle home if you've never used it. It's so good. You're like,
Add it to
okay.
the grocery list.
Add it to the list. And then I will use the tree oil. So whatever tree oil I can get, like pine or Believe oil has several tree oils in it. Evergreen Essence has tree oils in it. Blue spruce. So I will use a tree oil in some form usually, and I'll just kind of drip it down my back. I love those oils. Good for emotions, just good for so many
This
things.
is such a random question, but
Yeah.
when they're getting oils from trees,
Yeah.
like
They'll
what
just take
part
the bark.
of the tree? The
They'll
bark?
They can use different parts, but a lot of times they'll take the bark and then chip it up and then distill
Squeeze
it from
it.
there. Yeah.
more you
So the tree oils are so good. I use those every night. And then I do the hormone oils. So I will alternate the hormone oils, but I'll use Progessence Plus, which is really good for hormones. I'll use Lady Sclerol. I'll use Patchouli is really good for hormones. And I'll just put patchouli, like I literally will just drip it in my belly button and let it sit there. And then after I get those hormone oils on, I'll just put a hot cloth over so that they absorb really well. And then usually I'll use some kind of inspirational oil, for lack of a better word. But we have oils that have great names like Harmony, Abundance, Believe. And I'll just use those and kind of just practice, prayer and thankfulness. And I don't know. So I use it a little bit, on the sort of mindset, emotional side, but also the physical benefits of all those hormone oils. So I use a lot of oil at night in my salt bath. And then whatever, before bed. Lately, I've been using Sleep Essence. We didn't even talk about supplements. We can talk about that at a different time, or I can put my supplement routine. But Sleep Essence is one of Young Living supplements that's just basically oils in a capsule, and it is unbelievable for sleep. Sorry, I thought that was
Ban.
Sorry, Bands. I thought that was the pillow.
I have a
It's
funny
so good for
story.
sleep.
Speaking of Young Living supplements, so I was feeling like I was getting sick one day, and I have my lineup of supplements, and so I was like taking all my supplements, and we had our meeting that Monday, remember? And before the meeting, I had taken They have this supplement called what is it called?
Oh, it's normally for sleep, Immupro.
Yeah. Well, in my head, I was like, this will be good. Immune system, like, this is what I need. And I did not read the back. Like, I just wanted anything. I just put it in there. Well, during our meeting,
it has melatonin in it.
It has melatonin in it, and I did not know that. So during our meeting, I was like, when it's 10 a.m., I was like, why am I feeling like
I must be getting really sick?
Getting so sick. And I was telling them, like, I'm just not feeling good. Like, I am so tired. I feel like my eyes are just going to close. And I was reading them off everything I took. And I took Immupro. And they were like, what? I mean, that's like literally to put you to sleep. And I was like,
oh,
that
great.
must be why I had to take a nap in the middle of the day. So make sure you read the back.
Make sure you read the box. Yeah, that one is also good for sleep, but take it at night.
Yeah.
just in case. But that is kind of my, daily routine. I vary it up. And depending on what's going on, how I'm feeling, I might use more thieves. I might use more peppermint or, more lavender, depending
Every day is a little different.
Every day could be a little different, but that is what I do when I'm feeling great and just want some support.
That's perfect. Okay. And then I was going to say, in regards to like Young Living's non-oil products, if you had to like recommend someone try one of their non-oil products, and I'm saying like, they have household products and soap and toothpaste, like what would you recommend someone buy to try?
100% I would for sure first recommend Ningxia Red. I think everybody needs Ningxia Red. There's nothing like it on the market. It has higher antioxidant, higher ORAC value, which measures the antioxidants, than like 25 times more than blueberries. So I would say first line, always Ningxia Red. And the
Ningxia berry.
Yeah.
Where does that come from?
It comes from China. So there's a place in China where the Yellow River kind of drains, runs down this mountain. And where that river runs down in the valley, that river is just full of minerals and nutrients and so much good stuff. And what they noticed is the people who lived in the valley of that river were living till they were like 120, and they were really, really healthy. So Gary Young, who was the founder of Young Living, went there and was like studying these people, like, what are you doing? And they're like, oh, we eat these Ningxia berries. And so he basically brought it to us, and it's been a product of Young Living's for 20 something years.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
It's and it tastes so good.
I'm drinking mine right now. If you're watching on YouTube, I mixed in here. One of the things that I love, Young Living, like here's what I learned after I took a deep dive, is that Gary Young was 20 or 30 years ahead of his time. So the things that he was creating 20 years ago are now becoming so popular and mainstream. But he was doing it years ago. And one of the products that he created is called Mineral Essence, because our soil is depleted of minerals. Our food doesn't have the minerals we need, and they're really important for keeping you well and for emotional health and mental health and all of that, like lots of things that we need minerals for. Our minerals come from the Salt Lake, so it's a really, like, it doesn't taste great. It's like a salty kind of, I use it, it comes in a dropper bottle. So what I do is use Ningxia Red and then some.
Kind of like masks the flavor.
Kind of mask the flavor. And then I put minerals in here, and then one of our products called Alkaline, which is so good for when you're not feeling great.
That one's another one, like, that does feel like magic to me, like a magic potion.
Yeah. It's kind of like the old school Alka-Seltzer. But yeah, you just feel better after you drink it. So I love putting that in one of my Ningxias for the day and drinking Alkaline and Mineral Essence. You could put oils in it too, but and then in the evening, Dad and I usually just mix Ningxia Red with sparkling water for dinner, so it's kind of like a mocktail. But that one I would say for sure is number one. And then depending on, like what your needs are, I love so many of our products. I mean, I've got sitting here next to me our collagen, our Ningxia greens.
That is something I could give, like, that is one of the products I literally can't live without, is the greens and the collagen.
Yeah. That makes the best smoothies. Oh, yeah. So good for you. So good for
every day.
Hair, nails, skin, face. The other thing that I love, which I don't think you've ever tried, and I've only been on the bandwagon of this product for about a year, but I learned it from Mary Young, And I'm like, she keeps saying this, and I've never
Should
really
probably
tried it
listen.
consistently. I should probably try it. It's called Comfortone. It's for gut health. Unbelievable. I take it every day now. I never
Is it
miss.
a supplement?
It's a supplement. It's a capsule. So good to just keep you regular and all the things. Like, it is so good. So I've been using that consistently for about a year. So now I'm on that bandwagon. And then, of course, toothpaste, laundry soap, like all the house products.
That's another thing. Mom always would have their toothpaste in our house, and Ellie always used it. And when you use a normal toothpaste that's like spicy minty and go from that to Young Living,
Thieves toothpaste, yeah.
it's like very different. But now that's all I use, and I can tell the biggest difference. Haddon steals it from me.
He does?
Yes, he loves that. The whole time we were on our trip, he was like, I used your toothpaste the whole time.
I love it.
It makes your teeth feel
So clean.
so clean. And when you think about it, a huge trend right now is oil pulling, like literally swishing oil in your mouth.
Yeah.
I almost feel like it does similar things where like it feels like every bit
all
of
the
gunk.
stuff comes off. Yeah.
Yes. So that's something I'm on the bandwagon for now. All these things that have been in my life for so long. I'm just like on the train, but
I know. Yeah. So I would say it changes all the time. In my teaching group, for people who end up grabbing a starter kit through my link or somebody in my group, in the teaching group, we have all kinds of videos like the 10 things you need to get after your starter kit. And every time I create that video like every year, and every time it's kind of different. I'm like, okay, now you got to have this. Okay, now it's this.
Yeah.
So it's a little different all the time. But I would say definitely try out Comfortone, because gut health is really important. I don't think we realize. And, when you're exposed to a lot of bad food, a lot of stress, things that damage your gut health, that damage the microbiome that's there, finding good ways to restore that, is really beneficial. So this supplement, I would definitely try.
Okay. And then lastly, I think we could just touch on what we were going to talk about is just like, are there any dangerous oils? Are there any you shouldn't be using in certain areas? I think people get confused about like ingesting them, like putting them in a capsule. Is there anything you shouldn't be?
Yeah. Young Living makes that part of it easy. If it's an oil that they recommend ingesting, it will come with a white label called a vitality oil. So if you just look on our website, if you wonder, can I take frankincense internally? Look and see, do we sell frankincense vitality? And that will tell you if that oil is okay to take internally. Most of our oils are okay to take internally, but there are some that aren't. I also will say, I mentioned earlier that when you're starting with oils, just think of it like fruits and vegetables. Use them regularly, but you do want to start a little slow, because if you have a lot of toxins, what's going to happen is those oils are going to pull those toxins out. And if you don't have great gut health and you have a buildup of toxins there, it's going to pull those toxins to the skin. So people can get skin issues from it, not necessarily from allergy, but from
it's literally
pulling out the
drawing
toxin out where it can go.
Yeah.
And so I would just say go slow, see how your body reacts to it. A lot of people will report like a week or two if they go really hard on the oils and this is their first time using real oils. They'll be like, oh, I went through a period of a couple of days where I didn't feel so well. I had a headache or whatever. And I would say just back off a little bit, use some Epsom salt baths, go slow. But here's my question. Do you want the toxins in there or out? I want them out. They need to come out. So I want them out, but you might want to slow down and, get them out
your body
a little
get
slower,
used to
let
it.
your body adjust to it. So you don't want to leave those in there. What will happen is if you just leave your body full of toxins and you don't do things to help your body detox, is that your body will sequester those toxins in your fat cells, and then you'll try to shield them off. So a lot of times, like I noticed as soon as I started doing the oils journey, I started losing weight, because as soon as your body can release those toxins, it doesn't need to keep the extra weight on sometimes that your body will keep, to
because
protect
of those toxins.
Yeah. And so that is helpful. So you have to ask yourself, am I willing to go through a little bit of a detox reaction to using the oils to get all of that stuff out of there? And my answer is yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that was very helpful. A lot of good information. And I think this will ease some people's minds when they're like, there's just so much.
There's so much
to know. And obviously, like, we could go off in tangents with probably each one of these products, each one of these things.
Yeah.
And we'll probably have to do another
a
episode.
follow-up. Yeah.
Yeah, with more questions, getting deeper into it. But I've learned a lot already. So
Yeah. That was
I think this was a good one.
That was a great one. Thanks, everybody. I hope you enjoyed it. We will put a lot of information, support stuff for you in
all
the
in the show notes.
Yeah.
I'm gonna try to really get everything that we talked about.
Yeah.
From the Young Living website. If you want to sign up, I don't know the best way.
We'll put the link. We'll put the link in the show notes. Again, if you use my link to grab a starter kit or grab some Ningxia or whatever, you'll get an email that gives you the link to my teaching group on Facebook, and then we send you, emails to let you know kind of what's going on. So it's just a really fun group. It's something fun to learn about. And
no pressure, just like you can learn at your own pace.
Yep.
And yeah, I need to get added to that because I'm on my own learning journey.
You are on your own learning journey, and there's lots of older videos. I don't do as many like regular teaching videos as I used to do because I'm like, well, I've covered that like 3 times now.
Literally have done the same thing. I know.
But if you get in that group, you guys, here's the fascinating thing. When you get in there, you'll notice this. You can watch my healing journey because when I started oils, if you go back 10, 12 years ago and look at a picture of me, you're like, she looks 10 years older there
than you do now.
Than she does now. Mm-hmm. And you can, and I wanted to start taking them out because I'm like, oh my gosh, I look so inflamed. Like you can tell how miserable I was back then. But then I leave them in there because I want people to see, no, that's the way, that's what happens.
What happened.
Yeah. So watch the journey. Now watch a video from last year. Now watch a video from a couple months ago and you can be like, oh, I want that progression.
Yeah. You want to age reversely.
In my life too. Yeah. And so it's been huge for that. So I just have left them in there. So it'll be fun for you to see all those terrible old videos.
Yeah, well, we appreciate you guys so much. I hope this week's episode just inspires you to at least think about the things you're using in your house and on your skin. It inspires me and it makes me want to.
And we mentioned so many things. I don't even think we need our 3 things.
I know. I'm like,
we mentioned
there's
a million things. Yeah. And we'll load you up in the show notes and take good care of you. So thank you so much, everybody. We love doing this podcast for you.
It's so fun.
It's so fun.
Except I get dragged to CrossFit every time I come here, so I don't know how I feel about that, but
otherwise, so fun. If you enjoy the podcast and gain some insight from it, please go support the work that we're doing by giving us a review.
It helps so much. Yeah. And we're on YouTube, so if you ever want to watch the videos and you haven't watched in real life, go watch on YouTube, subscribe, follow us on Instagram, follow Mom on Instagram. I'm sure you already do, but all of those things help so much, and it's fun to interact with everyone on all of the platforms. So
yes. So we love you so much. We'll see you next time.
We love y'all. Bye.